Hello, everyone, and welcome to RHAP's coverage of Australian Survivor for Australia v World. I'm your host, Shannon Guss, here to discuss the merge, and what an episode. There is no Monday slump, which is great for my guests. I honestly think in a great season with a high bar, episodes 2 and 5 have probably been my two favorite. This merge was so much fun. Seeing everyone get to finally interact. We had a big vote as well with a lot of strategic permutations here, and I have Pooya to talk about it. Pooya, thank you for being here.
I am so happy to be here. Truly blessed after, the middle episode of the week kind of being the slump for a long time. Look at us right on top now, killing it. The merge, an auction even.
A challenge that was canceled. Last gasp. That was crazy. Can we just say from the get-go?
Like a 4-3-3. Where do we want to begin? It was so good.
Oh my God. There was so much going on. It was genuinely entertaining, I think, start to finish, and I really enjoyed it on the rewatch as well. I guess we can start at the fact that they merge and we get all of these interactions that I've really wanted. Part of me was like, don't think about what you've lost. Don't think about the fact that we were meant to get like Luke and Tony, or Tony kept referencing George and that. Like, don't do that. Like, think about the fact that you've got like Tommy telling Kirby he was Team Ferris. I feel like this is the exact conversation you and Liana would have had if you were to meet Kirby. So I love that. Shaunie and Parvati, Kirby and Parvati. A lot of people in Parvati, like, these interactions were so much fun for me.
I mean, this is a crossover event where fan fiction comes to life. Like, it was very fun to see play out. We've been waiting for this for a minute. You shouldn't be thinking about the 4 people that do not get to be a part of it. You should think about the 10 that are there to be a part of it.
That's me. I think that speaks to who I am in a concerning way. But I was really loving every single second of the merge and doing it at the auction, which honestly, the auction was like a little limited. I'm like, give something to Suri. But there was fun stuff there as well. And auction is always really, really fun. So yeah, this episode kind of had it all.
Yeah, I can't think of an element where it was lacking. Again, like you alluded to also, even in the moment where the challenge usually is kind of like a lot for some people, it's like I'm in it for that. For us, not so much. Even then there was excitement. It was intense. So I really can't complain about anything we got today.
I do wonder how people will react to the challenge getting canceled and it going down to a rock draw, which is unfortunate, but I don't know that there's like a better way to handle that. They can't give them all immunity. It feels unfair for none of them to get immunity. They all had to agree on it. Like, it was raining so hard that I don't even usually notice this stuff, but they clearly could not get a shot of them walking to tribal council, because that shot was them walking to the challenge. Like, Parvati and Sarah are the ones with the immunity necklace. So the weather, I think, was insane, especially for a challenge that has been controversial in Australia. Last Gasp used to have news articles about how it was like torture, and they're doing it in the rain. All the props to Tommy, Cass, Janine Ellis, who could be in a boardroom right now being a boss lady and is under the water, and Luke, who did incredible in that challenge. I don't think there was another way, and it kind of was interesting, right? Like, we've had that before with Last Gasp, where there's a tie because people just see it out. So I kind of think this challenge is so rogue and extreme that sometimes different things happen. If they were happy for it to go to a rock draw, I was fine with it. And I was actually so happy that Tommy got the rock, because Tommy was so endearing in this episode in so many ways. It was so perfect with him rocking himself out of his first ever auction the day before, when he came out of the challenge and he was like, I did it. He was so happy. He was talking about how Finland don't have medals. I was wishing for Tommy, and I am really glad he got it. So that didn't detract from me, but I don't know how the audience will respond to something like that.
I think that if there was only 2 of them left, I genuinely think they would have just given both of them immunity and moved on. But 4 out of 10 is ridiculous. Like, that's not going to happen. And I think then if they had given them a different challenge of sorts, I don't think that's fair, because that's not the challenge they started with. The skill set was clearly these 4 excelled at this, and you can't continue this. They even showed the shot of it's submerged on the water. We can't do that. I did like the idea that even if one person disagreed, none of them were safe. Part of me wishes it was just none of you were safe, but then it's like, well, what was the point of being in the water for that amount of time? So this was the better move. I think all 4 of them agreed to it, so no one can be salty. Neither should you at home, and we can move on. When sometimes the elements prevent you from doing the thing you were planning on doing, and it's okay. It's okay. It's allowed. I feel like maybe in our modern age, a lot of people will use the weather as a lie to get out of making plans or doing things. In this instance, the weather was not a lie. This was really a thing that happened that prevented them from hanging out under the water.
Yeah, and I think as well, it actually did lead to an interesting strategic situation where they had to choose if they were going to go for the necklace. Now, it worked out that it was like perfectly balanced, 2 from each tribe, 2 really close allies as well. So it made sense to just have a 50-50 shot at you are an ally having it, a 25% chance of you having it. In another world where it's like you versus everyone from another tribe, maybe you're the one who's like, nah, actually, I'll give up my shot at it so that none of you can have it. You also have to think about the social ramifications of that, of being the one person to be like, no one gets immunity, even though we all almost died under the water. So I think that was an interesting choice. And I think that, yeah, if they give all 4 of them immunity, that guts the strategy. And we see here there are so many options. 3 people are going to get votes. So you want as many people open as possible. So this was handled, I think, very well. But should we talk about the vote? A 4-3-3, which I think was a split. We can talk about it. Do you want to start with Parvati and Suri, always the bells of the ball in the center of everything here, who should be these like huge targets and are actually who everyone wants to work with? What did you think about Parvati and Suri?
I don't want to hear anyone who watches any of these shows act like, wow, if I was to go on, I would go after these veterans. I would go after the legends because they're going to, yeah, look, all your legends are falling at the heels of these 2 for good reason. I think that both Suri and Parv have shown in the past to be open to working with people. They ride with the people they ride with, but they're always willing to hear another offer. And I think that is something to be said. I think both of them are very welcoming. We've talked about that extensively, but it was very fun for me that this wasn't just our 5 and you are going to go against their 5. We're going to vote 5 strong. Whatever happens, happens. Because I don't want that. This is way more intriguing to me. And honestly, Shannon, this vote right now, voting block of 4. We'll see where it goes from here. This has the makings to be my favorite alliance of all time. This 4,
a lot of people are going to say that.
This 4, this is amazing. You can't make this better. This 4. Nope, you can't. You can't make this better. I'm gonna stand on it.
This is a fan fiction 4 to the point where Shaunie even says, like, this is what the people want. I don't even watch the show, and I know that this is the content that they want. And she said she and Parvati have been following each other on Instagram. It is a beautiful 4. It is a 4 that is a minority of 9, and we'll talk about that for the episode. Not next week, tomorrow night. This was such an interesting spot because Parvati and Suri, and this was again, they've really enjoyed these like stalemates that they've had with Cass and Lisa with these kind of differing viewpoints, where they had to split their 5. And in a different world, the Australians come over the top and win the day. And that's the concern, is that either they're trying to lead a vote. They didn't have to split their vote. They split the vote. But either they're trying to lead the vote to an idol play, or they're trying to get you to split, which is what the Australians were trying to do, so that they can come over the top, which is not what they were doing. I have to credit Parvati and Suri's read. I don't know that many people do it better than these veterans, and I think it's different if it's a consideration. Like, at no point are Shaunie and Kirby actually like, but should we get one over on there? They're splitting, they might split the votes. Like, should we save Sarah? Should we come over the top? That's not a consideration. And I think they're very much reading that true transparency from them. And I'm not mad at that at all. For the internationals, I feel like this is much more concerning, and they might have some more options again tomorrow night to make a new majority. But it's like, you want us to split our 5 on your read, or to lead to an idol, and they choose to split the vote. But you want us to split our 5. And for what? Firstly, to put us at risk because Parvati and Suri aren't the ones being targeted. Secondly, so that you can make new friends. You care more about the relationship with Kirby and Shaunie and not pissing them off, rather than knowing they're splitting, well, in the hope that they're splitting the vote. If they're not splitting the vote, then they're getting one over on us and we're screwed. If they are splitting the vote, actually, we can just win on a 5. And you don't want us to do that because you're prioritizing a relationship with Kirby and Shaunie. If that's the case, who are these new friends of yours? Why do you care so much about their relationship? Because what happens next time? Next time we're in a relationship with Kirby and Shaunie, what if we want to vote out Luke and Kirby says no? What are you going to do? Is it going to be us? Or what if we do vote out Luke and Janine, but then we need to come for Kirby and Shaunie? Oh, are you prioritizing them over us? Like, I don't want to put myself at risk when we can win the day firstly on your read, and secondly, so you can make new friends to displace us. So the World Tribe have options now, the international. So Reeve says it could piss them off. But yeah, I was like, they're putting a lot here into just really upholding what Suri and Parvati should want, which was not really good for the internationals at all.
Yeah, but I think that I think also the fact of the matter is y'all voted out Tony. You made like obviously it's AU versus the world, but it's also kind of just been AU versus US versus the world in a way. Specifically on that tribe also. Like these three have made it very clear we are a three, and then there's also Lisa and Cass have this four with Parv and Suri as well. I think that for me, it's interesting because everyone's got to be looking at having extra options. I think that ideally for the world, they went out this 5-5. They whittle it down to 5. The three of them take out Parvati and take out Suri and take the top 3. So they're in a great spot. There's a reason why they shouldn't want to try and push anything different and just like fly for the course. And also, it's very hard to believe this other group of people. You don't really know them. You don't know what they're about because we just came in saying we want to be R5 strong. They're probably saying the same thing. Why wouldn't they try and sabotage us and coming from the inside us? I think to go back to what you said at the top, credit to Parv and Suri for being able to recognize that this is real, this is good, but also when their names aren't really out there, why should they work? Like this is a risk they can take and they can manage later. I think what also helps is that they have an idol in case they need it for later. I think again, we've talked about these idols and people last week were like, nope, Luke should have used his idol. Well, guess what? Now we're at a final 9.
I was people. That was me.
Yeah. But the less the people, the more the idol becomes powerful. So for them, it's like, okay, if they end up voting out, if they're actually not working with us, we can figure out a way to bounce back, right? So, because let's picture it this way, right? This was a long con, and Kirby and Shaunie were actively going to take out a world person, and this was the scheme to try and split the vote up. You don't think the first thing these two are going to do is go tell Sarah, hey, you know who we were told why we voted that way? Because these two told us to do it. Like, I think the cracks are already there. And I think that just hearing the conversations probably indicated that there are some divisions within this group. This is not a facade. Not everyone is a Emmy or global Emmy or what's the other one? Golden Globe winning actor. Yeah, Golden Globe winning actor. Like, they're not award-winning actors here. They're not out here doing the performance. So it's clear there's some dissension here, and we can figure out what's going on there and move on from that. So I think that is key, and I think that's important. Also, Shaunie said that she is the first ever person to make the merge 4 times.
That's not right. Ozzy did.
Yes.
At least. Off the top of my head. And also, Suri and Parvati are doing it now, but not in a row.
Yeah.
Like, Shaunie's 4 for 4, but so was Ozzy. And Ozzy did go to Redemption, but that was by choice.
But didn't he go to Redemption after the merge? No, right before.
He went before, but they on purpose. Like, so you really can't count that.
He still, he chose to go. He chose to go. That's on him.
Yeah, I agree.
But
now we're doing Ozzy v Shaunie and defending Ozzy. That's not what the people want. That's not the Shannon. But it is
Shannon, I don't know
as well. I'm not going to let you be fed to the wolves with this.
Well, that's the thing. I had missed her saying like only person to have done it in a row. Like never.
She didn't say in a row. I'm giving her grace because
you're giving her. You're interpreting it that way.
Yeah.
I was going to say a bunch of you are getting to that club together right now. Like you're all at the same entrance. So.
Well, who is telling Shaunie that information? Because Shaunie doesn't know. Like Shaunie hasn't watched these seasons. It's not Shaunie's fault. It's whoever told her wrongly. Like probably George on his way out. Like Shaunie, you should say this. But like, also to defend myself from a week ago, the whole game looks different if David's still here. Okay, we don't know if Luke would need the idol. That's just separate. On this, let's talk about what actually happened? Should we do that? People might be confused about what happened because it was a 4-3-3. Love a plurality vote. I'm sure this was a split vote. As Lisa says, she's trusting Suri and Parv. If you can't trust them, who can you trust? But then in Tribal Council, they're trying to bring Suri over. I think that they're trying to be like, look, we've split Australia. So that'd be great. Let's do at least a 4-3-3 on Janine because Janine's less likely to have the idol. Also, if an idol is played on Sarah and it's 3 Janine and 3 Cass, do Kirby and Shaunie actually still vote out Janine? Like, we don't know what their priorities are in terms of that. So it's a tougher 3-3. Whereas if at least Suri comes over to the 4-3-3 on Janine, that's a better shot. Also, if Parvati comes over and they keep their 5 united, that's a really, really good shot. And whether Australia's with them or not, they have the best shot of taking out someone who they think won't have an idol, let alone maybe they've split up Australia and they've won. So they're trying to get that to happen. It's not what happens. Yeah, I thought that this was really interesting, and I'm sure that it was a split, but I do think that it could piss off the world, as Suri says, and I think that Luke is completely valid in the next time on for wanting to go to the internationals and make a new 5, because this 4, while as lovely as they may be, and I'm sure I can hear Twitter exploding from the future, they are a 4 of 9. They are a minority, but I do think that within that, I actually worry more for the Australia side. I worry more for Kirby, who did try to inform Luke and who did try to keep him in, but Luke has, some potential here to be aggrieved. He does try to vote with Australia. He tries to tell Kirby not to do this, and that doesn't go through, and she does kind of choose these new allies, and we'll talk about the fact that Luke blew it up to begin with, but this isn't what he wants. So I kind of feel like Suri and Parvati in that, even if they are in a possible minority, I think they're, especially Suri, well protected by the internationals, and I worry for like a Kirby. But I've worried before. But I think this is very interesting because we've kind of ended up with these voting blocks of Luke and Janine, Kirby and Shaunie, Parvati and Suri, and then the international 3. And they can kind of team up in different ways to make new majorities.
Yeah, I think that this vote, that's why I'm happy with this vote, because I think it blew the game open. We're not doing a very linear following.
Yeah.
AU has one side, World has one side, and they're going at it. There's a lot of avenues that open up. I think for someone like Suri, why this move is good, it brings in for her 2 extra people who are not going to put her name down, who she can rely on and work with. And even in a 4 out of 9 argument, I think she still has Lisa. Even if Lisa says, I'm choosing to believe them, I still think she has Lisa, because I think that this was the plan they proposed. The reason they were not doing it is because they were worried about an idol use. And then Suri can just run it back and be like, I could tell that Kirby was not playing no idol on Sarah. That was never going to happen. This wasn't a gambit. And it's like, well, and none of us went home either. And Lisa, your name wasn't written down either. So like, I think she can win Lisa back. I'm not concerned. So for Suri, it works out. For Parvati, I mean, Parvati will always, take a route that might look difficult and isn't the easy road, especially when she has an idol in her back pocket, just in case. And then especially when she has a goddamn knowledge is power. The woman is
an idol stealer, Parvati. We don't actually call it knowledge is power here in Australia. That's a mistranslation.
She canonized it. It's on the episode. They didn't censor it. It's knowledge is power.
Australian Survivor on Australian Survivor. We have 2 people talking in a different language. You can speak Australian Survivor instead of US Survivor.
But having, we've always talked about knowing, like having an idol or knowing what our idol is almost a great asset to have, because other people don't have it. Meaning you are looking at the board with extra information that no one else has. In this instance, quite a few people know about her having the idol, let's say. Okay, cool. They don't know about the stealer. And I think that is huge, because that could come up. And the best way to get that information out of people, Shannon, make as many allies as you can. Now, obviously, she doesn't know this, but Luke has one, and he hasn't told. Like, he's going to be a vault, probably. He ain't telling anybody. I think Cass might say something maybe to somebody, and then somebody tells her. That's possible. Well, yeah. I don't disagree with you, but I think that but I think ultimately having those 2 things can give anybody the oomph they need to just follow through with a plan that might be a little more risky. Because again, Parvati is someone who's talking about how high her threat level is, how much people are looking at her. So she could have taken the safe route and just went with the Janine vote. She doesn't. And I think that was good, because again, more people to talk with is better. The more individual people feel better about you, the better you are. Because I think what happens with Parv on these shows is that even if you're her ally for a little bit, and then you kind of like a sleeper agent wake up, you're like, oh my God, why am I here with Parvati? I need to vote her out. So if she can make other allies, the odds of if one of them turns, she still has other people to rely on. And I think that's key, because if you keep the same 5, we were already seeing it happen with the world, where Cass has been smartening up to Parvati for a minute now. So before that could go completely sour, she has other assets that she can use and move forward with as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think this is great for Parvati more than anyone, which will be reflected in the Chizzy points, because, well, firstly, we had a lot of fun with the cookies. Cookies are a very good omen on Australian Survivor, so she has that, and burying it. It was a very fun scene. She does get the idol stealer, and she has her own public idol, so that is its own separate thing. That was really good. But I think the thing with this is that to her credit, I feel like they want to work with Suri as well, but Kirby and Shaunie really want to work with Parvati. Like, Parvati should be the biggest threat at this merge, and she, again, is the belle of the ball. And I think that going with this, as you said, it gives her options. I think she still has protection. Whereas, like, for Suri, who I'm also very impressed with, but I feel like Suri is so good at managing the worlds, and she has a great alliance there, and she's, I feel like, put more investment in that. They seem to trust Suri more. And while I'm not upset with either of their read in doing this, the one thing that does kind of concern me is pissing off the worlds. But it pisses me off. It pisses me off. It concerns me more for Suri, which does piss me off because I always want Suri to be okay. But I want her to be, yeah, I feel like she, with the worlds, has invested more, and this could cut into that. Whereas with Parvati, they're already saying they don't trust her, and she's finding new options, and she's earned those new options, which is good. So if the issue with this is cutting into the worlds, that's better for Parvati than Suri, I think. Even though I am impressed with both of them, and I have concerns almost for everyone else. So, like, you know, applause for Parvati and Suri as always. The thing that I find so interesting is Kirby and Shaunie. They make a huge choice here. As Luke says, they cut into Australia and they give up their Australia majority. And I'm impressed at how much Suri and Parvati want to work with them. I want to say that from the jump. And of course, it's the content that everyone wants, where they possibly will upset their old allies and they will take a risk on, again, a correct read to have this relationship. But you know, to either going to rocks is a lot, and I kind of back all of these players not to go to rocks and then to just recover because they're all so powerful. But at the point where you're splitting them, then it becomes a real choice. Now, again, if it is a choice, this is going to be maybe counterintuitive, but if it is a choice, then maybe you're not splitting them. The fact that it's not a choice is why Parvati and Suri are reading it so well as great reads, as veteran players, to not to vote with them. And if it's a choice, maybe they don't take that risk. But at the point where technically you have split them and can stay as a 5, they have actively chosen to not only not go to rocks, which is not now the consideration, but to just break up the Australian 5, which is a very tenuous 5. How did you feel about this for Kirby and Shaunie?
It's interesting for the two of them because I do feel like they're bearing more risk doing this than Parv and Suri ever did, because they're losing an AU number. They are going to strain a relationship with Luke and Janine, which, FYI, wasn't as solid as it could. Like, this was the last chance for that. I feel like they were already not on great terms, but it was like, we need each other, even though we're like a little bit like, separated. That's gone now. So I feel like they went all in on Suri and Parv, which is risky because these two are now in a situation where they have way more power over you and your grouping than you do. But also, I think for them, their risk comes with the fact that they're the two biggest names here. So you might be looking to take them down than me. But also part of it, Shannon, and I can't stress this enough, it is a Titans all-star, like top creme de la creme,
technically
top of the food chain
and contenders
season.
And villains.
This is a season to have fun in. And what way can you have more fun than to stare down the barrel of the gun and say, I'm working with these two and we'll see how it goes. I think that people need to realize there is a very big chance that that's just kind of also a part of the decision making of like, let's make history here. Let's make the fan fiction that people write become real. Why wouldn't we? You just mentioned how Shaunie was like, people are going to love this. She knows and she's delivering that. Could it be a detriment to her game? Potentially. But also she did get, I feel like Shaunie, low key, the only other thing left for Shaunie to do is win the season, right? Like, that's the only thing left for her, like her achievements. I would say she already got a huge achievement here by denying George his 100th day, getting the lick back from Heroes vs. Villains, and now it's to win, but also to win is tough. So let's get the fun route in, see how that goes. Maybe we win, maybe we don't. And for Kirby, I feel like it's very tough because Sarah said her name, even though she ran it back immediately after. I was like, actually, no. I'm overthinking it. First of all, that part doesn't really make it to Kirby. Now does it? What does make it to Kirby was your name was said. That's good enough to be like, well, I'm going to just keep doubting her now every chance I get for the next 5 days, 6 days, 7, whatever. I don't want that doubt whispering in my ear. Yap. Let me get that out. Let me try some new connections. Because I think that something else also is, it's easier to trust a connection you don't know that you're trying for the first time versus a connection that you know is already strained and has left you doubts. Like obviously
it's better the
trust
devil
is,
you know. Isn't that what people say? Isn't that
I know
explicitly what people say?
yeah, I know people say that, but I feel like is in an all-star season of Survivor where it's only like 16 days, I don't think that holds the same power to me. It's like, the devil I know might be looking to stab me. The devil I don't know might be an angel in disguise. I don't know yet. So let me get to know. And I think, again, we're talking about like the top of the line players here who I'd like to think can read each other rather well, or at least have a good understanding of how connections are in this game. So I personally, if I was Kirby, I don't think I would want to cut Sarah here. Because I feel like, again, I'm putting too much power in other people's hands. But me not being Kirby, I support it. I'm rooting for it. And I'm rooting for Kirby because, again, Kirby gave us this alliance of 4. And for that, I'm going to be forever grateful because that's worth everything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always rooting for Kirby, but I'm always worried for Kirby. But it's like, firstly, far be it for me to criticize anything Kirby does, right? I don't know what she can pull off. I underestimate Kirby because I can't even imagine it. So that's the first thing I'm going to say. In terms of the devil you know and the devil you don't know, for Shaunie, like she actually does, like she really knows the devil in Sarah. Like Sarah's been like actively gunning for Shaunie, and I feel like Shaunie also possibly has Kirby as a bit of a shield just based on the way that Kirby's been playing. I kind of feel like it is a lot to break up the 5, but if I see it for anyone, I see it for Shaunie, who now she's like, I'm not an idiot. I know Sarah's coming for me. I'm like, you didn't know for the first 9 days of this game. Clearly, Kirby's told you. And at that point, like Sarah is unworkable for Shaunie. I also love the running theme of Luke sowing chaos through this whole season, but now it's like too much. He's like, no, put it back. Put it back. Like, no, don't do that. But he did that. Like he blew it up, which we can talk about for him as well. For Kirby, I'm more on the fence to maybe more against it. Like, again, going to Rock seems like a lot. Splitting them maybe couldn't have happened if you were actually splitting them. I hope that's all making sense. But I don't know the devil that Sarah is for Kirby. Sarah is, I don't know how Sarah feels about Kirby. Like, she wanted to work with Kirby and then just felt like she had no agency. She kind of half said her name, and Kirby is only hearing these conversations secondhand. She wasn't ever going for Kirby. She wanted her own agency with Kirby. She's still telling Kirby at the auction, like, hey, there might be a clue in the popcorn. There has been before, right? That actually would be an iconic place to put it, and it's usually in that big jar, as I think Shaunie would know. I think Shaunie got something like that. So she's giving her that information. Like, that's still a pretty good ally, and considering it's a number. And then the other thing I think is that sometimes for me, it's not about like the personal ally. Like Tommy was doing a Q&A on Instagram, so I was reading that. And he was saying how, like, Rob Bentley, like, he would say one thing and do another thing. He would say he was against Dave, and he was talking to Dave in the challenges. Like, he couldn't get a read on him, so he voted out Rob Bentley. For me, it's like, I don't care who Rob Bentley is really being. Structurally, you need Rob Bentley, right? It's about having that definitely for the challenges. But beyond the challenges, it's about the physical kind of structure. And, like, at the point where Sarah's fully coming for Shaunie, I'm more okay with it. But like for Kirby, like she's so out on Sarah. Maybe it's not about the kind of ally that Sarah is. Maybe it's about knowing that Sarah has no options. Unfortunately for Sarah, she's been beaten socially by Kirby with every relationship, with Luke and Janine, here with Parvati. It's actually really upsetting for Sarah. She doesn't have a lot of options. So structurally, you might need her, even though she's not like the perfect ally for you. That's why I'm concerned about it. The reason why I'm more okay with it is because she would have to piss off all the worlds and all these possible connections to stay Australia strong. And then she's actually quite reliant on Sarah. So unfortunately, it's not in the position where like we stay Australia strong now, but I'll go back to Parvati and Suri later when I have the upper hand in the numbers. Like, no, now you've lost your opportunity. Now you've pissed them off. Like, I don't think Black Widows are so forgiving. So then you're relying on Sarah, who's someone you can't really trust. So all this to say is I see both sides, but I definitely see it more for Shaunie for not relying on Sarah medium term and cutting off other options. And for Kirby, it's unfortunate because now I think actually structurally, if you look at it, what actually did happen was she lost a couple of allies and Luke and Janine to gain a couple of allies, but she actually doesn't have a majority. And I don't think she has anyone protecting her the same way Parvati and especially Suri have. I think she's a huge target. And I don't think that there are necessarily the numbers to save her. Like I worry for Kirby tomorrow night.
I would worry for Kirby as well. I think that for both the two sides of this group of four, if you look at it in a very foundational way of, okay, if we whittle down this other tribe and go back to our original tribe fixture of R5, where do we land? Kirby and Shaunie have to rely on Sarah now to lead them through that final 5 vote. That is not a necessarily 100% nailed decision. If you're Suri and Parvati, same scenario. You're relying on most likely what, Lisa, to get that vote through. And as much as you can feel good about it, you also know Lisa is a huge fan of yours and is probably recognizing that she can't sit at the end with you. So that's why the move is good. I do agree the 4 out of 9 equals out. We've done this math before, folks. This is not new. That being said, it's only out if the other 5 are a 5. And we don't know that yet. It sounds like Luke is going to bring that offer through because him and Janine are like this. They're locked. I think the internationals look locked. I still don't know where Lisa is in that entire thing. And I think that in the event that Lisa is in on that, I don't think Lisa's putting down Suri's name on parchment. I don't think that's happening at this time. So I would worry that does end up, because if you're looking, Ginny, you're like, listen, I don't care. We cannot let one of us go. Let's tell them we cannot let one of them go. Let's take out one of these 4. And yeah, if they say Kirby, we'll just give them Kirby because Kirby's not working with us anyway now. Yeah. I could really see that happen. And what I will say, I don't think we're en route to a Australia pagonging here. I don't think that's going to happen. I feel like, again, this vote only empowered me to feel like we're about to get a lot of pendulums and blocks and marriages of convenience, and I'm here for all of that.
I do agree, but I think that there's so much mutual incentive for Luke and Janine to, as he said, go to Finland, Quebec, and wherever the other person is from, and for them to do the same thing, because the thing is, they don't have those other relationships. So if you look at like why do Parvati and Suri get their way here, there's a few things. Like maybe it's because Lisa and Cass got their way yesterday. Maybe there's like, you know, and maybe that's more like Suri just didn't care as much about Tony. Maybe generally you want, you know, Parvati and Suri have power because they're freaking Parvati and Suri. As Lisa says, what did she say to Suri? She's like, what do you think? Because you're you. You know, I think there's always going to be that reverence, that power imbalance. But the main thing is that they have leverage. They have another option now. So either you have to go with that or you have to around them. And I think that if Luke's presenting that to them tomorrow night, they will go around it, but I don't think they'll do it for their own allies. But the thing is that then they'll have the leverage with Luke to be like, but we have this other option in Parvati and Suri, whereas you seem really out on Kirby. So that makes Kirby a really good target. So it's an unfortunate position. I'd never count Kirby out ever. I think that there were considerations here. I mean, I think that if you are going to Suri and Parvati to try and break them to win on a 5-2-3 or whatever, to try and like split that vote, or to maybe to get them on a vote where you could play an idol that they don't all know about, but like more to split that group, you know that you are burying connections that you can't come back to. So either way, they knew they were going to make enemies. Like you're either going to split that group and make enemies of Parvati and Suri, or you're going to choose them and make an enemy of Luke and Janine, which is unfortunate. If they were to just go to straight rocks, not promise anyone anything and hope for relationships in the future, they have worse rock odds. Tommy's immune. Actually, the World Tribe could have been pretty set. All but one person could have been almost Heroes v Villain style, pretty set on their 5 in terms of how many idols they have, and Tommy's immune, and one person would be voted for. So they could have actually been quite set there. So rocks don't look good, and you're cutting into someone. Unfortunately, they've chosen now to cut into Luke and Janine. They've made some enemies, but then the other side, I'm being wishy-washy, but I'm just saying the other side of that is you stay with them, but now you're relying on Sarah. You have a majority of 5. Now I think they have a minority of 4. That's my concern. You have a majority of 5, but that 5 is with Sarah, which sucks for Shaunie, and Kirby doesn't want either. So I think it's a tough spot, but I really worry for Kirby in this position.
Yeah, I think the Kirby's the one I'm most worried for, especially when you factor in the fact that Kirby doesn't have an idol right now. We obviously don't know what the immunity is going to look like. Maybe an immunity necklace couldn't come at a better time. But I think looking ahead for Luke and Janine, this makes the most sense. You go to those 3 and say, hey, were you blindsided? Because we were blindsided. You were blindsided? Okay, cool. We're also on the same page.
They weren't blind, but you didn't get your way. Like, we're all hard done by. They made a fool
you didn't get
the our friends talking to new friends. I don't like that.
Yeah. So I think they can link up, and I think they could look at taking one of these pieces out And then I think what happens is, again, you whittle down the numbers, and if you're looking Janine, you're like, well, we can't get to the 5 with these 3. They'll just pick us off next. So then they're looking to hop. Meanwhile, on the other side of an 8, you see these 3 want to hop. So I think that a lot of combinations could happen. But as far as who looks to be the most in danger, I think right now I would give the if we're putting points on it, worried for Kirby number 1. Also, in the next time on, they repeated the same confessional we got from Parvati, where Parvati calls her the Black Mamba. So I saw that happen again the next time. I'm like, what is this? What do you mean by this? Are you hinting that we got to be reminded that she is the top dog? Because that's what it sounds like. So to me, I'm most worried for Kirby. That being said, if Kirby is safe somehow, right? Let's say immunity. Are you then worried for Shaunie next?
Yeah. Because Lisa's like, they're making that decision again with the leverage they would have over Luke, and we're all just like future faking at this point. But like, they're not doing Suri, definitely not. Suri is the most okay of that alliance of 4. Parvati next, then I think Shaunie, Kirby. Now the other option is, of course, that the 7, who I think technically split this vote, just do split a vote on Luke and Janine, and Luke plays his idol and Janine goes home. But I think that's very passive for the worlds who have been pushed. And I think a big theme in this season has been allies being pushed past their comfort. And we'll talk about Sarah's swan song here, unfortunately, but then trying to take agency back. We have these big players who do not want to be pawns. It's such an interesting theme of the season where these like leaders are used to working with maybe more passive players who are pawns. And that doesn't exist here. So it's like, no, do my bidding. It's like, actually, no, but now I want to turn to do the bidding. It's like, no, you can't have that. Well, now I'm flipping. And I think that it would be, especially when we already have Cass saying like she trusts Parvati less, and we know that they didn't want to do this, and they're talking in tribal council. And Suri has already said that it could have upset them to go with these relationships. I think they should be very concerned about where Kirby and Shaunie sit with Parvati and Suri. I think that 9 is a huge vote. I think letting that 4 get to 8 gives Parvati and Suri all the power. And I want to take some of that power back, not by voting out Parvati and Suri, but by voting out their new friends that they're trying to replace me with. You know, like that doesn't feel good. So that's why it just seems so, especially seeing Luke say it in the next time on, but it just seems so logical for, again, good active players to do that. And I don't know how they protect against that. But it will really be on, I guess, Parvati and Suri being like, no, we're the 5. Us and the world, or at least the 4 of us are the real like women's alliance. Like, this is so interesting. It's like, which women's, there's so many different women's alliances now. Which one is true? We're the real 4, Cass, Lisa, Harvey, and Suri. We just need to get it down, and then we'll choose you over Kirby and Shaunie. But it just gives so much power to them, where I feel like I'd rather make that decision myself and then be like, tit for tat. And now we're in voting blocks, and we can kind of pick up these pieces and see where we go from here. So that's where I think it will go. I'd love to talk about Luke and Janine in this, because again, Luke blew it up, right? And Chappelle and I were quite high on the move. Like we didn't hate it that they went and blew it up. I was thinking, because we thought at the time, like, you don't let the game come to you, you take it in your own hands. I thought, if you go back to tribal council and Sarah says, actually, no, now it looks more desperate to come and be like, oh, Sarah was working against you. It's like, was she? Or are you saying that, Luke and Janine, because you're on the back foot? By doing this, it kind of assured them to get through to emerge, that they would actually have the power if they went back to just like a pre-merge tribal council where Sarah isn't immune, which was hard to foresee. But it wasn't as good for a merge. This is the issue, is that coming in at a perfect 5-5 when you've blown it up and do actually have the great relationships. Like Luke actually is pretty central. Like he can work, he thinks, with Shaunie. He's trying to work with Kirby. Sarah's coming to him and he's really close with Janine. So this 5 is actually great for Luke, not to mention it would protect him. And now the 5 is blown up. Again, great for the pre-merge when you're going to need to win a vote. Bad for a merge when the 5 are trying to stick together. So how do you kind of look at Luke and Janine's part in this, where they really did work to explode it, and now it exploded and they're actually left like with the shrapnel?
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough because I feel like the steps that took to this place, that took us here, Shannon, they didn't, like, they happened for, okay, so it's like, how sometimes it's like, oh, I told this person this, but I told them this for this situation, and now it's coming up for a different situation. That's kind of how it felt to me, right? It was like, this came up because in the event that we go back to tribal, the 5 of us, we are on the outs. We can't have that. We have a little bit of information. Let's put it out there. Let's have the tide shift here. And then it was like, oh, but none of us are leaving. Oh, cool. Okay, that's fine. Let's all work together then. Yeah. And someone's like, no, we're doing the thing you said initially. And it's like, well, why are we doing that now? The landscape has changed. We are at final 10. We are merged. We're one tribe. We do not need it. We need the upper hand. So it's tough, but also it's like you said, like, what are they going to do? Wait until the last second to say something in case they're at tribal, in case they're the ones voting somebody out? Because that's just a very hard story to sell with 5 minutes to go before a vote.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate. I do enjoy Luke in the underdog role, which he often has had in his Survivor career, and has had a lot of it here, and I do think it's really fun. But yeah, it was like, well, that was important yesterday. And it's unfortunate because had Sarah lost the file, if Sarah had never been immune, say they just do go to that tribal council. If the first immunity challenge was just a full tribal immunity that the Australians clearly lost, and they go back to tribal council, then it was the right move, right? Then they take out Sarah, they've planned ahead, they come to the merge down in numbers anyway, so that unity, well, A, would be fine because they've taken out Sarah, and B, is not even the thing because they would be down in numbers. They'd have to find new numbers in the world tribe.
They would all be doing this. Yeah. And that's it. If they were a 4 coming into the final 10, they would be doing the exact same thing Kirby and Shaunie did now, but they would have done it proactively. They wouldn't have waited in the wings and thought, no, let's keep our 5. I feel like there would have been definitely a lot more movement. So it's almost like they should have lost fire making. That would have helped.
Well,
weird, but I don't think it would have necessarily helped. So
no, it wouldn't have, because then they would have had to vote out Shaunie. So at the point where Sarah wins immunity, that's really wrecked the plan. And then also Sarah got them to not even go to tribal council. They come in as this like fractured 5, which is terrible. It would almost be better to come in as a united 4 and like try pull a Tony or like see where that is. And maybe try, actually, like I think at that point, maybe you do take a shot at the actual worlds and you try and pull Parvati and Surreal. Maybe you even take a shot at Tony and everyone's like okay with it and get the numbers. Like, anyway, that would be a very different world. But I'm just saying that it made sense at the time, but then everything changed. Then they came in as this 5 that needed to be united, and the chaos was sown way too well. So it's an unfortunate spot, but I do think that there is potential here for them. What did you think about Luke sending Parvati back to camp? Which I feel like he immediately knew. Like, I feel, but then you can't not do it because then you've just done 2 people, right? Like that, and that's a terrible thing to buy for $500. Like, absolutely, like it's not even like, and you get their money, right? It was just send them back. Usually, it's like send them back to camp and get their money. He just paid all his money to piss someone off, which was so unfortunate. And I know that hindsight's 2020, and like, but I do think you should be thinking someone's going back to a beach. I would like someone that I trust to know what's going on there. Clearly, it's easy to say that once we know about the cookie idol and the cookie idol stealer and everything. But at the time, you don't want to annoy anyone. What?
Could you send yourself?
I wanted him to send himself. I'm not sure if he could. I was thinking if not himself and Janine, because she should understand and should go cover it. I don't know if he could send himself. And also he has no money. So what's the point of being there? The other person I thought would be Tommy, because at least Tommy doesn't have money.
That's exactly what I thought. Yes.
Yeah.
That would have been the diplomatic choice, was to send Tommy, like, sorry, man, you lost. I'm saving you. Don't look at all this food. And I'm also don't want to piss anybody off. He would understand that, right? Surely. Or at least you're hoping. But the Janine answer is, if he knows, and by the way, just so you know, there might be something on the beach ready for the person who you kicked out. So I think Parvati is a wild choice to make here.
That was terrible. Because that was the worst choice. That was number 10 of 10.
Yeah, it's like you're immediately putting this person on notice, but also I feel like, and we don't know a lot of the dynamics. We'll find out maybe later on, but like, you gotta imagine Parvati assumes that, hey, Luke knows David and Parvati went on Deal or No Deal Island. Like,
Sarah knew.
So yeah, if Sarah knew, I'm assuming Luke does. So then Luke doing this, what are you saying? Are you saying that, oh, I don't mess with you? Because I don't know if you can spin this to positive, especially when Parvati hit him with the, I'm going to count down from 5. And if you do not change your mind, it's over. I feel like he made the right choice then to not switch up on her. I think the damage was done. But I think that reaction should have given him all he needs to know, that this was indeed the wrong choice to make.
Yeah, it was so bad. It was the worst possible first impression. You only get one shot at a first impression, Luke. And I feel like this was, I don't know if he just, like, in his mind was like, Parvati's the biggest name, Parvati. You know, I felt like no thought went into, okay, how do I at the very least not upset someone versus also there might be something there. And it's not that you know that there's going to be an idol stealer. It's not that you know that there are going to be cookies. It's just more like you're sending someone to a space that you have no eyes on. So I think send someone you trust. Or Tommy's at least diplomatic. I definitely would have been asking about myself. Not sure if that was available. It probably wasn't because it's a bit of a cop out. But yeah, Janine or Tommy. And did Janine even buy anything in the end? Like, yeah, you guys feel like Janine's fine. She doesn't need $500. She's got many, many more dollars than that. So, and Janine's such a warrior. Like, look at her in the water. Like, she would get it. I feel like she's not going to be upset about that. And she's not like such a huge fan where like Lisa's crying that they've made the merge and Tommy's like, my first auction. She like doesn't need the auction. Like, I think she'd totally get it. So I think there were good options for not a great clue. Another, well, it seems like not a great clue. Maybe that should have been a clue in and of itself. It's like you've bought money for this terrible thing. You have the power to give someone power. Like maybe, again, we're saying that because we know that it ended up being really powerful. But if used well, Luke could have really gotten something out of this. Like imagine if he and Janine do get the idol stealer. Anyway, wasn't played great by Luke. But I do wonder as well with him and Kirby. Kirby does try to bring him in and then just straight up leaves him out when he's like, no. It's a very different and interesting dynamic compared to Suri and the Worlds. They go along with it under duress. And Luke just says no. And then not only is left out, but his partner is actively split on. So I wonder if they can come back. I wonder if Kirby will say, like, I tried to loop you in, but it really seems like they are done. So it's the enemy making for Kirby. But that's, yeah, just can't be more concerned, really.
It's not a good spot to be in because again, you got to imagine there's a lot of eyes on Kirby now more than even before because the world eyes were already on Kirby. Two of them admirably enough where they want to work with Kirby. And then now two Australians who thought, hey, we're going to keep Australia strong. And I'm like, oh, and Kirby's an op. So really outside of Shaunie, I feel like, because even I would argue Suri and Parv, they just had their fun here. They got to work with Kirby. They might be like, you know what? It terrifies me. I mean, Parvati does say that Kirby not being scared of her is an aphrodisiac. Like she likes that. So everyone else, though, I think Kirby is on the radar. If you didn't know, now you know. Which also, let's talk about how amazing it is. Kirby needs her flowers here. Where Kirby's run on the show was about a year old at this point when they flew out, maybe less than a year, a little over a year.
5-6 months when they flew out.
That is amazing. To be recognized by so many legends as a legend in your own right. I love that.
Yeah, and also like people say that they assume that Sarah and Kirby were pre-gaming because how could they be so close? I honestly have no idea. Even if that's true, David's whole game was a pre-game. I mean, like not even on purpose, you know, like he just knows all of these people. You cannot compare any potential conversations Kirby had before the game, which I don't even know if is true. I actually can't even really imagine Kirby doing it. But even if that's the case, these people saw her on screen for the first time months ago. Like, it's so impressive what she has done. I will say the one thing that's very interesting, and this is where I don't know, like, who do Parvati and Suri choose between their options if they get a choice? Between Kirby and Shaunie and the international women. Because Suri says the internationals are her priority, and that's why she tries to bring them in. But then, of course, that's not the way the vote goes. If the internationals were the priority, I feel like maybe that's Parvati having the leverage there, but and maybe it's true for Suri, but that the vote goes differently and they do what the internationals want and don't make them vulnerable and don't, you know, choose these new relationships to make them vulnerable. But then we also have to think about the fact that this is kind of a knock against Kirby and Shaunie. Parvati is lying to them. Parvati is pulling a Russell and saying, I'm actually at the bottom. It's very funny the way that might come back around, the way Russell used to say, I'm at the bottom of an all girls alliance. Parvati says it was her or Tony, like she's not in this at all. She's lying about the dynamics. They haven't told them, I think, about how close they are with the world, which if anything actually should protect Kirby and Shaunie. Like they should be like, okay, that's good. We're not in a 4, we're in a 7. That's good in 9. You don't want to be in a 4. But I don't know if they know that there's so much of a push and pull, at least with Suri in these relationships, because Parvati has lied about it. All the credit to Parvati for that. But it does really make these new relationships, which so much was risk for here, be very, very interesting to me.
Yeah, you know how we said this was a net positive on Parva's side? I feel like Lisa also benefits greatly from everything that's gone down here. I just like think of every person right now. I think Lisa's the safest person, arguably on that island. The internationals not going after her. I don't think Suri or Parv are going after her. I don't think Shaunie or Kirby are looking at her. And I think Janine and Luke need her. So I think, first of all, Lisa, great play, great spot. That being said, I love the argument Parv made because it's a half truth. She was the other name explored by the person who got voted out.
True. She has been on blast.
But also, she had 2 big blowout arguments with both the eliminated people on the way out. So she's not wrong. She was under fire. She had eyes on her because she was in the middle of the drama, even though it was one person. But also the funniest thing continues to be she keeps getting all the argument and then Suri gets the votes. That's the funniest thing to me. So, I mean, and the thing is though, at this point, if that comes up, right, if they're like, wait, so Parvati isn't on the bottom, well, it's too late. You already made the bed now. You already made the bed is made. You're in this situation, because that I would even argue to think, okay, maybe they're mad at Parv. Maybe a move on Parv can happen more than a move on me. Like you got to stay Parv for the course at that point.
Parv for the course. Well, I think that you're right in that it's a good lie because it's a half truth. Like she is getting heat, Suri's getting votes, which is rude, by the way. Suri comes in with 9 Survivor votes ever and has now already had another 2. Not cool. But I think that what you're saying is correct, because the main thing that she's lying about is her closeness with the women, that she has this other women's alliance, that Kirby and Shaunie aren't the only women's alliance for her, that she's like got 2 women's alliances. She's like, this is like Parvati on steroids. It's like, you thought one women's alliance was good, but 2 separate. I'm like, really like double timing these women's alliances. But that's not that tangible. Like the things that are tangible is that she was getting heat and then Suri gets votes and splits or whatever. Parvati was immune the second time, but would get heat. And she said, like, I had the necklace, but otherwise I would have gone home. Not true, but Tony was trying it. That part is maybe the most, tangible lie because she wasn't going to go home. But if it's like, oh, you didn't tell me that you had these relationships, it's like those relationships that meant nothing to me. Like, oh, so Lisa's trying to use that against me, or Cass is trying to use that, like, oh, so she told you that. I don't know how Cass would suss that out, but like, she told you she was at the bottom. No, we had this relationship. It's like, that's what they thought. That's not how I saw it. I always felt that I was under fire. I was getting all this heat and I never trusted them. So it's vague enough that it might be okay. But I am impressed with her because she comes in from the beginning. It was very Russell-like. It was hilariously villain Russell-like, I thought. To come in and kind of paint. Russell's was extreme. Russell's was like praying to JT and there's a women's alliance and everything. But she kind of did a little bit of that. And I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah, I think that it's a very believable lie also. I mean, Parvati is truly the biggest name to come out of that grouping. So of course you're going to look at her. That all makes sense to me. I think part of it also to further say why I think Parv and Suri made an understandable move. Just think about that tribal that happened right before this one, right? Where the world got up and just went to the side, had a side combo. Suri wasn't invited to the combo. Suri put herself in the combo. Suri said, I'm going to go see what's going on over here. And went. By the time Parv gets up to go there, they sit back down. Like if I'm those two, I'm recognizing they want to hold on to Tommy longer than they intend on. Tommy is not just a temporary keep. Tommy was a by any means necessary, he must stay here choice, which means that we are on the outs in this 5. It's just that's exactly the case that it's going to be. The 4 isn't as strong as the 3 within the 5.
Yeah, I think it's a very fun theme of the season. And I think it's amazing that they've created themes 5 episodes in. Like, it feels like we've really lived lives with these long episodes. And I don't know what the confessional chart is right now, obviously, but I feel like I have a really good sense of everyone in the edit. And I think you have these themes of not just alliances, but these intricate alliances with these competing interests, with the International Women's Alliance, was it more Tommy or like are Cass and Lisa more aligned with Tommy or with Suri and Parvati? Now are Suri and Parvati more aligned with them or with Shaunie and Kirby? With Sarah and Kirby, there was the Shaunie aspect, there was the David aspect. Like there's all of these competing interests, and then it becomes pushing people past their point of comfort. And when do people break? And how much agency do players who have been used to agency because they've controlled whole seasons, how much can they accept not having? How much do they insist upon and then make themselves a problem? Someone like Rob Bentley and they get voted out. So I'm really liking a lot of those themes, and I think that it's well edited. And I also think that it's because we have these types of players who are playing in this like insane arena where, yeah, everyone, as you said, is technically a Titan, even though technically we have no Titans on the cast. So I'm really enjoying it. I think that, yeah, it's really, really fun. I loved Mordich as the merge tribe name. Getting an Indigenous Australian name in there just feels right as well. And like harking back to that, and Kirby's always great representation on that as well. Like there was just so much good stuff here. Just loved it. Do you have anything else before we get to the Chizzy?
Nope. And my favorite number is 5, and this was a great episode 5. So
That's
can't
true.
complain.
Oh, I have actually one thing. Did you see this? And I meant to say on the podcast with Chappelle, and then I forgot. Did you see Lisa's pregame stuff? There was an article making the rounds about this.
No.
I wanted to bring it to the people that she, before the season, she got a friend of hers who actually met at the premiere party because Lisa brought him as a guest, Henry, to make a video about her because he's a Survivor YouTuber. And he kind of made a video about how her win was bad and how like the Dave Matt thing like ruined the season and it doesn't count. So we made a whole video like discrediting her win. And then people in the comments would be defending Lisa, like, no, that actually makes the win better. It's crazy that she turned friends against each other. And she made up a fake account and she was like arguing with her own fans, being like, no, Lisa sucks. Didn't count. Doesn't count as a win. So that is insane. Like Lisa and I really are kindred spirits because she's crazy like me. She's like, that's next level. But I'm also concerned for Lisa that she's doing this too well because now like Luke calls her small fry, like they're all threats. Like again, no one are pawns, but I don't want Lisa to get that perception. She's playing very well, so you don't want that.
It's sad because it's like, I'm sorry, she is a winner of her respective season. You can't say the same, Luke. And in all due respect, you're a good player, but like you didn't win yours. She won hers. Famously, I think I've said this before.
You've never lost.
Liana and I, back in the day, we used to do me and her draft for the international seasons before we start watching them together.
Aww.
And for 2 seasons back-to-back, South Africa and New Zealand, the winner of that season was the last pick in the draft. Lisa was pick number last.
And Tom.
And Tom. Yep. They were the last 2 picks.
Tom was fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, also we didn't do like deep dives on bios or anything like that. It was just first impression of like,
fair.
Yeah. But I think that again, calling Lisa small fry or whatever. Okay. Well, Lisa is the safest person on the island. What are you going to do about that? And now you need Lisa. So small fry just maybe became the one in charge. You know what I mean? Like I feel like the thing is for Lisa, she's clearly a decorated player in our eyes, but is also the one we're all vicariously living this season through. She is the ultimate super fan who gets her own win under her own belt and comes back as a legend, but maybe is like, I'm a legend among these people. Like, this is what this is like. I like melted into the TV and I'm just part of the season now. Like, she's like, she has the best front row seat a fan could want, but also should recognize you are a damn champion yourself. You are this could be your win. It's right there, available for the taking. But I don't think it's over. I don't think it's over for Lisa by a long shot. I don't think Lisa's going anywhere. We talked a lot about Kirby being in danger tomorrow. I think if we ranked everybody's likelihood of leaving tomorrow, I would put Lisa 9th out of 9.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I feel good about Suri because I feel like because Suri is protected by Lisa. Like that's Lisa's power. We have to say that. So I completely agree with you. But let's talk about some of these people in the Chizzy. Take it away, Jacob Sager Weinstein and MC Color.
1, 2, 3. It's getting kind of chizzy. 3, 2, 1.
I said the Chizzy. I regret saying the Chizzy. We haven't spoken about Sarah, and I don't think we're going to speak about it in the Chizzy. Should we do a bit of a eulogy for Sarah, who was great TV through the season? It did not go well. I think that no one could say it better than she did in her final word. She was like, I messed up. I would have gone with Dave.
I should have kept David. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like Sarah, I want to say, I think has more grace and self-awareness than almost any Survivor player. Like the fact that she can say that in her final words. You have other people who are like, it was everyone else, like no names, right? But we were all thinking of people. Maybe some of the people from last week. Sarah's like, I've looked internally at the issue here. And I think that Sarah's game was off kilter from the beginning in this relationship with Kirby that was not it. Like she wanted to work with Kirby so much, but their interests were just not aligned. And yeah, if she goes with David, I mean, it's crazy to think how different the season looks It's so different. And I think that was the comfortable alliance for her. I think she was in an uncomfortable alliance from the get-go, and her game was uncomfortable the whole time. It was off kilter. She was trying to work around it. How does she get agency with Kirby? Like, that one relationship caused her to vote out her other number one ally in Dave, never ever take out her target in Shaunie, and then is the thing that turned on her here. Like, it was her demise in every possible sense of the word at every single stage of her game.
Yeah, I think that if she votes out David and then just like fully is invested all in on this Kirby thing, I don't think we're sitting here. I think the problem was she got paranoid over Shaunie's relationship with Kirby and said, no, that needs to go. I gave Kirby my one. She needs to give me, I gave her one. She needs to give me my one and get rid of Shaunie for me. That didn't happen. Then she starts thinking, I don't know if she has my best interest in mind. Then she leaks that thought over, and then that gets used against her. Now here she is. So I understood wanting to not, because sometimes, okay, so I'm going to use an analogy that may not make sense, but I'll try and explain it. So when I got accepted to university to go to Canada, I had two options in front of me, Shannon. One was a university in Toronto. One was a university in Ottawa. I had friends who had moved to Toronto that year, like for university, a semester before me. So I was like, if I go there, that's built-in relationships ready. It'll be probably easier. But I went to Ottawa instead. And the reason I did that was because I didn't want to be in the shadow of someone else's story. If people have already built and set things up, if people have already built friendships there and I go there and now I'm the tag-along friend who then ends up in their ecosystem, I'm not going out on my own. I'm not spreading my own wings. I'm not trying. I'm kind of taking the safer route. So I went to Ottawa and I did my own thing and I was happier for it. I feel like Sarah waited too long to come back to just become the +1 to someone else's reign. And I think she did not want that. She tried something different, regrets it, but I'm happy that she tried something different because it's so easy to go safe route and then, end up not winning or end up not being as prevalent. 5 episodes in, I'm safe to say Sarah was a pivotal part of the story this season. So that's something to go home with.
True, but she couldn't get her way for 1 second. Like, I think your analogy makes sense to me because I would have gone to Toronto. Yeah, I think that life is scary enough. You do the safe thing. You go to your friends. I love safety. I love cozy, warm safety. Like, she had such a comfortable alliance with not just David, but Luke. I don't know how she feels about Janine, but she was telling Janine for David to play the idol. So, that's where we saw it preseason because it just made sense. Sometimes things make sense for a reason. And she did. She went hard. She was like, I'm going to go with Kirby. I'm going to do this other thing. But it was just Kirby. And even that was like this uncomfortable relationship. And it wasn't like Kirby and Shaunie. That's my new comfortable thing. Again, I'm okay with that. She was choosing one person, but she wasn't with the other. It was so uncomfortable. Be comfortable. Sure, take shots. But I think they do have to come from a degree of comfort. I think you have to have this basis, which is I'm here. I'm comfortable. I can see where I am in front of me, and now I'm going to take a shot. If you start off kilter, you can't get to your destination because the bridge is so wobbly. Now there are so many analogies. And I think that's the thing. That's why I think she says that she'd go with David. Look, she could never have seen that the Kirby relationship would go as poorly as it did.
Right.
It couldn't have gone worse. It could not have gone worse. I feel really bad for Sarah because I love Sarah, and I think that she would be so excited to meet Pav. You could see she'd be so excited, and then Pav just immediately voted her out. Kirby just Kirby's Kirby, and she got one better on all these relationships on Luke, who, to be fair, they both know. But she wins that way. Sarah comes to Luke, and instead of taking it, Luke's like, nah, and he goes back to Kirby. That's a long-term friend, an old ally, and relationship that she had. Parvati, who she would. Who she's watched. Kirby and Shaunie haven't watched Parvati. They might be following her on Instagram, but she would be fangirling hard. She's a similar age to me. She watched Parvati in the golden age of Parvati. I know she did, and she played Survivor at a similar age as when Parvati started playing Survivor. She looks up to Parvati, and instead Parvati chooses Kirby. All of these things I think would be acutely painful. And I feel sad that that's the way that it went. But I do think you can see because she was just. I don't think she was comfortable for even 1 second. Go to Toronto. That's it. Be comfortable. Be warm. Be safe. And then make moves. That's how I feel. But I just feel bad for Sarah.
Yeah, I just think that and this is more of a personal thing. I think too many situations in my I know myself. I'm a big what if I had done the other thing person a lot. And I feel
Oh,
like the
that's not me.
safe thing is the familiar thing, which then means
Yeah.
the unknown is what I'm always going to what if. So by going
No.
to the unknown, that means that I at the very worst case scenario, I'm like, I should have gone with the safe bet, but that's fine. That I already knew what that was going to look like. I don't know what the unknown is, and you never know. Unknown could be good, and mind you, if I did not go to Ottawa, if I did not go down that trajectory, I genuinely am telling you this, I would not be where I am right now. I would not be podcasting. I would not be in this realm. I would not be married to who I'm married to. Like I would not be here. Simple as. Although I will say by the end of this season, you will not be married to who you're married to because you're looking bad in the draft, Shannon. This draft not looking
He's
good.
gonna make me leave my husband. We'll see. It's gonna take Zol. Who do I have? Did I have Tony? Damn it. Not a good week for me. And I had Sarah. Shit. And Kirby. I'm really concerned about Kirby. Oh God. I was gonna talk about my marriage. I was gonna say that, not that it was safe. And we were long distance and everything, but I've been with Peter since I was 20 years old. Never for 1 second have I thought, what did I miss? Not for 1 second.
Right.
It's wonderful. It's not that, and I don't want to say it's safe because that's minimizing how incredible my marriage is. But I've never thought no, this is too good. This is good and safe and makes me feel so happy. What else is out there? Let me do a scarier thing than that. I don't think that I've never felt the need to live abroad or I did move around a lot as a kid. Now we're getting really psychological. I just think that I like being in my apartment with my husband and my cats. And the feeling that an alliance should give you a similar feeling to that. Is that fair?
Or the comfort? Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, we're going to keep going on analogies. Okay, so when I take a trip with Liana to a place where we know people, right? We know family and stuff. The tendency is, well, we hang out all the time. So let's hang out with these people that we're going to see for 5 days. And then we keep hanging out after that. And I feel like I kind of resonate with the idea of yeah, we're going to see each other all the time. So let's do this thing for these couple of days, then go back. If you're Sarah, it's been many years since you've been playing this game. You know some people. Mingle, find the new people, see what's going on there. Become your own person. Don't live in someone else's shadow.
No, find something that feels good. You just lock in. And then you're never uncomfortable because being uncomfortable is terrible.
Well,
I feel so
to be clear, I'm saying I understood why she made that decision, but she has admitted she should have stayed with David. So I'm not advocating that she made the right call. I'm saying I understand the call that was made.
We'll see. If I have to leave my marriage and then I'm going to have to, and then I'll be uncomfortable. If I have to get divorced based on the draft, just not what I want. I thought it was also funny.
The recap bitches will have a council. We'll talk about it. We'll see what we do if it comes to that.
We'll see. Who do I have? Kirby could win. So I'm worried for her, but I never count Kirby out.
You have everyone that's Australian that's left except for Shaunie.
Do I have 3
and Tommy? You have Tommy as well.
Oh, that isn't great. Anyway, I thought it was funny how it was well, who is the one that wants to take out the big players? That was the thing that Parvati and Suri were trying to find. It was this is so funny because it's not binary. Sarah's Kirby wants to take out the big players. She took out David. It's yeah, David's a huge player, but then it's well, she wants to take out me. I'm Kirby. I'm a big player. It's yeah, she wants to take out Shaunie. Everyone's a big player. Do you know what I mean? And not only have you both wanted at separate times to take out different big players that work for your games, you both really do want to work with Parvati. This isn't actually a concern for Parvati and Suri because you actually are both all in on this. And it's not this binary thing, but they were we just have to crack the code of who actually wants to take out the big players. It's this isn't anything. Just choose who you want to work with. Poor Sarah. Well, she's in Europe. She's okay.
Good. I think that's the thing with the tightrope that is people walking through this, who is a threat? Who is not a threat? Who is a big name that's being targeted? Who's a smaller name that's targeting bigger names? It's so incredibly subjective. Again, you have people calling Lisa small fries. Lisa is legitimately one of how many winners left on the season right now? 2? No? 2.
Yeah.
1 of 2. Yeah. Her and Parv. Who else has won?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me not say that and then someone else has one.
No, that's it. That is it.
No, one of two. Yeah. So it's so incredibly subjective. It means nothing. Name recognition, and that's the thing, right? Is that the US season, because of how it kind of was the grandfather to a lot of these other seasons, is seen as the legend tier players when they're coming out here. And Parvati's been on 4 seasons, other shows, Suri's been on many seasons, many shows. Like then it's different. Like they're I understand why they might be seen as more celebrity status amongst the folks here. But I think again, look at the cast they put together. Who had the worst placement in this cast? Like
Sarah.
Of the people remaining at this, it was Sarah, right?
Sarah had the worst best placement. Yeah.
Right. So y'all need to stop this comparing like all of you are threats to win this thing, right? Like, come on.
I agree. Yeah. We played the Cheesy theme song so long ago. I'm happy to give my points. I'll give 3 to Parvati.
Yeah, let's go for it.
Parvati will get 3 points. Obviously, Cookies and the Idol Stealer and everything. She should be the biggest target. Instead, she's the one everyone wants to work with. That Parvati aura is elite. And I think this is the best for her. I went back and forth on kind of like Parvati and Suri because I do love the way that Suri manages the alliances and the way she'll come to the world. And she just has such a beautiful like touch with her relationships. But I think that it's better for Parvati than Suri to make this move. Like I was a little concerned because Cass is saying she has doubts about Parvati. But then this cuts into Suri's investment with the worlds and chooses new allies who want to work with Parvati specifically and invest in Kirby and Shaunie. So I think that's best for Parvati. I'm giving her 3 points for that. And she's also doing a bit of the lying, as we've seen, to kind of set up those new structures. I will give 2 points to Suri, who's also in power there. And I think in that good group, people want to work with her. And again, is so great at alliance management. I will say Suri, she said Russell style in an episode that really summoned Russell. She said, I don't even like things from Australia. And I said, oh, well, technically I'm from South Africa. And then Peter said, yeah, she really loved Rob. And I was like, this is why we're getting divorced. This is why. It's not about the draft. So
just don't lead with any of that when the interview happens. That's all I'm saying.
Irreconcilable differences. What did he say? He implied Suri wouldn't like me. Okay, so yeah. No, actually, what I said was divorce, and then he said behead, and then I said, you can stay. All our 6 musical fans will understand that one. I'll give a point to Shaunie. Yeah, I feel like the worlds lose out. I'd love to give them points tomorrow if they come back from it. Obviously, Luke and Janine, not in a good spot there. And Kirby, I'm not as high on it. I understand her more for Shaunie. It's a lot to split Australian Survivor, but they want to work with her. And Sarah did not. So I do get it. I think that she also has a good shield in Kirby. And I think Kirby pissed off more people to do this. So I'm giving a point to Shaunie. What are your points?
Once again, we found ourselves at the exact same first and second spot with the 3s and the 2s. Parv does get the 3 again. The threat level is high, but also so are the accolades, so are the trinkets. She now has 2 trinkets ready to go. She would have had hella trinkets in the form of cookies, but that glass jar took itself out of the equation and she had to bury it alive, including the shovel, which, by the way, I wonder if that shovel's ever going to get found. That would be very fun if that does happen.
Yeah. Chekhov's shovel.
That's
Chekhov's shovel.
Yeah, exactly. And then Suri gets the 2. I think that Suri, again, socially is in such a great spot. I'm not concerned for her. I don't think anyone's going to be looking her way like that. I think this group of 4 benefits her also because I think Kirby will be looked at a lot sooner than her. I think Parvati will remain to be seen as a target before her. So she is easy number 2 there. My 1, I understand going for Shaunie there. However, I feel like I've advocated for this person this episode very strongly. And I would say that you have not burned any of your OG alliance by voting the way you did. You have not burned Suri nor Parvati by doing what you did. And you are seen as not that big of a target to the 2 people that are about to pull up to you and ask you to vote with them moving forward. So they're not going to put your name down. Lisa, get you a point.
That's fair. I think it's very fair. Yeah. Donate to the Chizzy raffle. We have all of that information in the show notes. I posted that on social media. That's to Forever Rescue, which is, creating homes, forever homes for cats in Sydney. We've already raised quite a bit of money, so really excited by the way that's going. They will steal the points of either me or the recap bitches in the finale podcast. And I will say, I don't know, I don't have the charts in front of me, but I feel like a lot of different people are getting points. It might be very close. You might decide who wins the chizzy. So the stakes couldn't be higher. And that's it. I will have an X interview with Sarah, who will kindly be calling in from Europe, which we really appreciate. I will have already done an X interview with Tony, which blows my mind. And then tomorrow night we have Mike, and then we'll have the show with Rob. We had the show with Chappelle yesterday. I hope you're checking all of that out. We know globalsurvivor.com. Follow me at Shannon Guss, where I post all of that. Pooya, what's going on with you?
I can be found on all socials at Pooyaism, twitch.tv/Pooya. I'm there. I'm live 5 times a week now for different content. So if you check those out if you can. I'm talking 90 Day every week. I had Kirsten on this week. Me and Liana talk on the PAL. We talked about the Civilian Trader season that's coming out. That was announced. We talked about that. We talked about AU versus the world. So me and Liana give some of her takes there. You can check all that out as well. And obviously Big Brother's still running, and I'm there every week talking about stuff that's happening over on the live feed update.
A lot going on. Thank you all for listening. I'm a little under the weather, so I hope this all made sense. It was a very complicated episode. I think we got there. Did we talk about our marriages? Did we do that? Is that what happened? Anyway.
We did, because the draft came up.
Right, okay. So we talked. But I was saying that an alliance is like my marriage. I did say that. Then I said we were going to get divorced. What's going on? Anyway, I'm going to go lie down. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Pooya. Thank you to our team behind the scenes, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.
This is RHAP. We know reality TV.